first of all, welcome to this session. I hope that you're having a great time at the Next Big Creator Summit. And you can share your experiences, tag us, put the hashtag Next Big Creator, and we'd love to get feedbacks from you. So, without any further ado, I would like to introduce how the session is. What are we going to talk about? Since like content and creation has been like a major career option now, we are starting to think of how can we actually put it into revenue streams and make a like complete and full-time lifestyle out of it. So today we are going to explore the same topic around picking the right revenue streams. So we are in conversation with Shadma Shaikh, who's the writer at Factor Daily as the moderator of this event. Also, the panel here looks amazing. We have Ankita Chawla, who's very popularly known as HustleRani, a sought after marketing consultant. We have Divyanshu Damani, the founder of Tag Mango. And Rida Tharana, one of the most popular youth influencer who makes entertaining and motivating content. It's pretty amazing how you guys actually pull that off. Then, last but not the least, of course, we have Gurmehar, who's a young thinker and already a published author. So happy to host all of you. Please just grace us with your presence, turn on your cameras, mics, and let's go and deep dive into the conversation of monetizing the content. Great.
Thank you so much,
So,
Nandini.
over to you. Yes, sure.
Yeah, thank you. Like you rightly said, the fact that we are having a summit like this that's called Next Big Creator, right? I mean, we're all taking creator economy very seriously now, as it should be. It's not just a hobby anymore. It's a career choice that a lot of us are opting for, and we have some of the popular creators here with us. So, in that context, and each of you, I mean, in your individual work, Gurmehar, Rida, Ankita, and Divyanshu, each of you have sort of a lot of different ventures that you're doing, even apart from content creation now. So, I would like to start off by, asking each of you to tell us a little bit about, what are the platforms that you are most active on, and what are your major revenue streams, and more importantly, what are some of the major challenges that you have faced when it comes to monetization through these platforms. So anyone who would volunteer to go first is welcome. Gurmehar?
I'll go.
Yeah, Rida, sure. Yeah.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Rida Tharana, and I'm from Kaur, but I'm here in Bangalore for 5 years now. So I think I started working when I was 17, all because my parents cut me off entirely, and I had to come up with some solution to pay my bills. As I was already on an education loan, even the basics of, let's consider my mess fee or forget about fashion and pocket money, that funda was never here with me. So I had to figure out some way to earn, and I think that's when events came into picture. I started as a promoter, and slowly I would only dive into speaking. I was not good at speaking. An average student who's really scared of microphone or getting on the stage. The reason I would see anybody host a show was like, okay, that person earns more than what I do. So maybe if I kind of go into that, I'd be able to, study as well as kind of earn. And that's how I got into emceeing, and I started working full time into emceeing since 17, and I have an experience of 5. I'm 23 now. So yeah, do the math. I'm not good at that. So and then luckily 2 years into the industry, a lot of hard work, because you are in an industry where you're coming from a small town, you're telling them that you can do a good job. Yeah, you're a woman on top of it. You're like, please take me in. 2 years of into the industry, and the industry slowly knowing you, and getting taken away by a virus was a drastic hit, because I still did not have my parents supporting me. And you're living in a metropolitan city all by yourself. You're figuring your bills out, you're paying your fees and everything of that sort. So for me, my revenue at that time was microphone, and when I got into the platform of content creation, I was just like, what do I do now? There's nothing to do. We need audience. If you are an MC, you just cannot go on and go for it. So even for people to think that we can meet virtually with such beautiful platforms as of now, it took us quite some time to figure that out. We didn't have it then. A 6 month of nothing at all was just me. My I had this fear of saving the money, and thank God I did. And that's the only thing that kept me going. And also the 6 months of me getting into my corporate industry. So content creation for me was a place escaping from reality. To everything that I had to go through, I kind of wanted to come here and put that out. And Instagram for me was a space where I could share my opinions and what I had to go through and how I could get out. Little did I think that I would have so many young women actually relating to it, which kind of saddens me, because I will never say I deserved it. No, I did not. I'm grateful for the experiences, obviously, but do I deserve it? And when I see it's a span of 1 year. I started creating reels, specifically reels from November 2020, and we're approximately hitting 500K at this point of time. But it still saddens me the number of people who relate to the content, because it's usually certain gender inequality or sexism or something that went to the industry, and I did not really think I could do it. And 200K into the industry, I didn't know how to monetize out of it. I
Yeah.
was still here thinking, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to monetize out of it? And that's how, with my revenue stream, I think my main platform has been Instagram. And it definitely took me quite some time, because I was somebody who was playing along with hosting shows. I was also someone who was modeling. I was also somebody who would take workshops. I also had a small business running. I never really had the time to think, can I make money out of Instagram? Can I do that? But yeah, as we went through, I did have amazing people coming into picture, some people helping me out, and we are making some money, as I told you, from nothing to a 1 BHK to a single room to a 2 BHK. Yeah, I think I'm doing quite well. So this is a little about my revenue stream and what my platform is at this point of time. But Instagram definitely has, and content creation definitely has helped me, where you guys have me as a speaker. I have several other shows at this point of time who would want me as a speaker, workshops where I take about on public speaking and emceeing, and I have approximately 30. That's the limit I keep, because I get exhausted if it goes more. And
Mm.
it's nice because now I know for a fact that the reason, specifically someone from a small town like me, never got an opportunity is because we never taught about money. We are never taught
Yeah.
about anything. We are usually asked to be dependent on our parents, then we are asked to be dependent on our husbands. So the fact that you can do your own thing and have your own money is a dream to come for me to come true. So it's
Mm.
definitely what I'm looking forward with my audience as well, to be able for them to be financially independent at all cost. Doesn't matter how much you earn.
Sure, makes sense. And do you want to talk a little bit about the challenges of monetization through the platform? Now you are where you are, but when you were getting there, what was it like?
I was told you're a very outspoken content creator. Brands wouldn't want to collaborate with you. Can we just have a pretty nice Rida who's just like making fashion content, or someone who's smiling with it? Because your content is very outspoken. I said,
Yeah.
so? Okay, there might be 5 brands which does not want to collaborate with me because I'm very outspoken, but I'm definitely sure there are 5 other brands who are looking for exactly this kind of a woman. I think the approach you're taking to them is exactly like how other person's taking. You need to take the kind of approach Rida would take. You need to start work. If you want me in your team and you're looking forward to something and you really want me to stick to you guys, I cannot give you the time. You cannot tell me, can you give me 3 months and we'll figure it out? No, I don't have that time. I really do not, because I don't have anyone backing me up. I need to figure my way out. And I was like, why don't you change your ways? Why are you telling me to change my content instead of you changing your ways? So the first few conversations of them coming and telling that to me, that we're so sorry, but your content is very really outspoken. I was like, that's sad, but I'm also very sure that there are so many people out there and brands out there would want to collaborate with me. And we've come a very, very long way, because now it's not us reaching them out, but them reaching out to us saying, we need her. This is the person we
Correct.
need. So it's
Mm.
definitely the kind of approach we want. But as I told you, 200K, I didn't know you could make money. I was just
Yeah.
sitting here
Yeah. Yeah.
and posting content. I'm like, oh, what did I just do? But I don't regret. It's okay. I'm
Right.
still
Right.
so happy.
Right. So essentially, the learning for you is that, stick to what you want to do, and eventually, people will want that.
Yes, definitely. So it's not, you can't, do you want to change? Do you really want to change what you, I think the platform for me was somewhere I wanted to put myself out there. If I change, I would just not be fair to myself. It was a place which made
Sure.
me happy. And if that, I had to change that to be able to earn money, no, no, that, I don't think it would make me happy at all. And I'm still not changed anything. And that's
Sure.
the whole part of it. Like, if you want me, I'm pretty sure, I'm not saying everyone's going to like me, but there are someone who will want me.
Correct.
It's a
Right.
big world with a lot of people, so it's fine.
Sure. Who wants to go next?
I'd let the ladies go
An-
first.
yeah,
Um,
Ankita, Gurmehar, who wants to go next?
I mean, I can go, but
Yeah,
Ankita,
sure.
if you want to go for it. Okay, fine. I think for me, I mean, first, I feel like I really have to acknowledge I come from this background of a very anti-capitalist politics.
Yeah.
I was a student activist in Delhi University. There was, we never looked at earning money, collaborating with capitalist brands as like a, as a noble thing, as a right thing to do. There was always something, very deeply problematic in that space. And while I had, I've had this platform and the audience for a very long time, I never really saw the platform um, as as a medium for earning money
Hmm.
until I was almost forced to. Um, I was in, I was in the UK. I had a scholarship. I was very fortunate that, whatever money I had gotten from my book maintained like my hostel to college canteen life in university. And then I had a scholarship to sustain me in the UK. But it was then, it was when the pandemic hit. I knew I've always wanted to get, I knew I always wanted to be into academics. I always wanted to teach. I wanted to do my PhD. And then the pandemic hit. So all teaching jobs completely shut down. No one
Yeah.
was hiring anymore. All jobs in NGOs, nobody was hiring anymore. It's a pandemic. I graduated I finished my degree in July, and that was when people were still sort of like just about coming out of their first lockdowns. The economy had
Sure.
crashed,
Yeah.
the jobs didn't exist. People were still like figuring out Zoom. And the world was, I graduated, I went out of college in a completely different world, in a completely new city, with my scholarship like ending. And they're just like, well, your year's done, and your year is done, where you can't fly back home because there are no flights going back home except for the except for the flight you can get onto by calling the embassy, and there's a there's a 200 people long, like 2,000 people long list. So if you can get on one
Hmm.
of those Vande Bharat flights from the UK, good luck. If not, then figure out a way to pay rent here. And that's when I reached out to a couple of friends. That's when I reached out. And another thing with getting a job as an immigrant on a student visa, you just don't get them. They're going to look at your visa and they'll just be like, we are not hiring, an Indian student. Where there is
Correct.
there
Hmm.
is this bias, even if it doesn't show on the, even if it's not something that is that they will say out loud on their website. So what I did was I started very slowly. I reached out to my friends and began doing a bit of like writing here and there, um, which I did even before as a student. And then started working in a pub as a bartender and a waitress, which was very cute. And just sort of went from there. And I realized, took 3 months, from my life, and realized what is it that I want to do. How is it? Can I keep my politics and give back to the world while also earning money? And that's
Yeah.
when I realized a lot of students would would ask me, and I questioned. I was like, what is it that people want from me, and what is it that I know that other people don't? And then I decided to have workshops about demystifying the publishing industry. Because that's an
Yeah.
industry people just don't know about, and yet you have multiple kids who are writing, multiple students, young people who are writing on the internet. Who want to be writers. They're writing their poems. They're writing their stories. They're writing blogs. And I was like, well, look, dude, I got quite lucky. I know how agents work. I know how editors work. I know how publishing work. Let me just break it down to them. And for like a nominal fee, do like a week-long course for a bit of a fee. And it blew up, and it just turned out to be something I never, I anyway wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to do my PhD and be a professor. That's the world and then
Yeah.
suddenly there's ed tech, so much more. There's ed tech. You can reach out to students in tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities for the tiniest amount of fee. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just think that and also sustain yourself while doing that. And I just thought the way that broke barriers in so many ways. I really bought into it, and that has been my revenue stream. I do teach now at a university, but this is also something that I keep going on the side.
Right, right. And like in terms of the content that you're making right now, when you talk about monetization, and yours has been a very different journey from probably what the others have had here. But what kind of challenges do you face for your kind of content, which is slightly not very, it's not in the zone of entertainment or lifestyle or any of those things, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges that you faced
I think
while
I think
monetizing it?
I think the biggest challenge I face is, to be honest, to figure out what my content is, because it's a lot of things. I feel like it's a lot of things. It's a bit of politics. It's a bit of
Right.
a bit of writing. It's a bit of teaching. It's a bit of my puppy. And I feel like the biggest challenge that I've generally found in terms of really monetizing my content is that there is an expectation from creators to box themselves, to be
Mm-hmm.
a brand, to be a fashion girl, to be a
Yeah, yeah.
education girl, to be a politics girl.
I can't stop smiling.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? To
I
yeah,
just
yeah,
agree.
yeah,
I
be
agree to
one.
this big time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
just like,
Yeah, continue. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just like, what I love everything. I have opinions on politics, yes. I also love like wearing a nice little Anoki kurta and posing in a photo.
Right, right. Of
I
course, yeah.
also, I also, I and I don't want to box myself in any of these boxes. I feel like people are multidimensional. They have so much to offer. There's so many aspects of their life that are special, and it's not just a pretty girl and a pretty photo, or like a feisty activist being a feisty activist. That you could be
Yeah.
so many things together. So I think for me, the biggest challenge now is that there is an expectation for people to turn their lives into brands, and I'm sort of resisting it. you know
Hmm.
I'm very much like, I don't want to be a brand. I'm very happy
Can I
just being a
can
Hmm.
I
human
add a
being.
little thing? I
Let's go
think
for
I
it
think
then.
that's so true because as we keep growing, there's this expectations people have from us that why don't you do this? But I don't want to do that. You do
Yeah.
remember that the whole point of you following me was because I was not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what you're expecting of me, but you're not going to get it from me just because of a certain expectations you have. And I told that, now when you're on a social media platform, your audience kind of becomes like your parents. And when
Yeah.
you don't give them what they want, they
The
write
right
you
man.
big ass criticism messages and say that I am disappointed in you. Like you've had this while you're growing up, and now
Yeah.
you have it with people you don't even know. It's
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I think that's just been like a big challenge. And I don't know. I still feel there is a bit of a, everyone who's in the field, but everyone who's in the field will tell you, no, have a brand, have a story to tell, have something to offer to the people. And a part of me is just like, I want to offer what I want to offer, and I just don't want to be,
Hmm.
a commodity. But yeah, that's been a
Yeah.
big challenge. Ankita, would you want to go next? I feel like
No, but I just want to ask you, Gurmehar, if you can take a minute. And what you're saying is interesting. So, if you continue to do that, can you still monetize? I mean, is it a challenge for you to monetize if you don't want to be a brand, if you don't want to go down the route that has been already established by creators before you, right? I mean, is that a challenge to monetize then?
um very fortunately, touchwood, I haven't. Very fortunately, I haven't. I mean, I'm sure I'm sure I could monetize more. There is always that thing that
Mm.
I can earn more money if I box myself like this. I still have a day job.
Right.
I still teach at
Mm.
university, and I really want to keep that day job, because
Mm.
I feel like that's also, and even now, I could give up the job and continue in this space in content creation. But I think a part of me, definitely feels that it's important to have, to not to sort of have like just a little bit of distance between real life and online life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way I see, and maybe, and it might change actually, you never know. I
Mm.
never thought I'd use the internet to, to monetize my content. I never thought I would do
Sure.
that. um Always thought I'll get a job and do good, 9 to 5 work, like a good little teacher. But yeah, but I think, but right, for now, what I really, but I feel like what the way I look at, and all monetization from social media is like extra pocket money. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe I could, yeah, extra pocket money, something I can put in
Sure.
my savings. Things I can
Yeah.
keep in case, some in case
Sure.
um I don't know, something happens. For me, it's always like, okay, I'm blessed to have it. It's not my only bread and butter. For that, I have
Okay.
a job. But who knows? Maybe that might change. I don't know.
Sure. Thank you. Ankita, do you want to go next?
Yes, for sure. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah. Yeah. We can hear you.
Awesome. I mean, a part of me did not want to go first because usually I have been that kid in school, the front bencher who has her hand up whenever someone wants to ask something. But I think lately, ever since this year started, there's this little realization that I have been having, which is that I am not built to create something every day. Okay.
Oh,
And
nice.
even though I love bearing the flag, and so being the flag bearer of this entire concept of pushing creators and pushing people around me, even so many of my friends, some of them are driven to quit their jobs, and I am one to motivate them for it while having one. But my idea is that if you're not able to say find that, if you're not naturally gravitating towards something that other
Yeah.
people are expecting you to do, then that's a separate conversation you need to have with yourself. Which brings me to sharing the kind of perspectives that Gurmehar and Rida shared, which was so exciting to listen to. Because lately I've been in that space where I'm like, what? Apart from creating, I need to take some time to listen first. Half of the best, most of the good films in the world have not been released by not researching and watching other films. Some of the best books in the world haven't been written because they did not read other works. There was a lot of listening and observing that went into
Yeah.
finally creating something good. So I'm currently taking that time to just listen and observe how I have been creating content, what are my goals. And my journey has honestly been very I've been very lucky in terms of being able to monetize my profile at a time where, to be very honest, I was feeling the financial need to get that extra pocket money, as Gurmehar mentioned. And that journey has only been smooth because I knew what I wanted to talk about, majorly because it
Yeah.
was the one thing that I have always been passionate about. This might not sound good to Gurmeher because I know, there is not a lot of merit in uh, always being that brand spokesperson. But I, for one, I love getting creative with the fact and thinking how I can craft this brand story. How can I make story the hero? I don't want to be the hero of any brand that I am promoting. I want to be the idea to be the hero. So which is why say some of the branded collaborations I do, I try to see how I can create something that does not even involve my face and still make it work. So I, say for an example, for a finance brand, I did not show my face at all. I purely just played with Lego, gave them dialogues, gave them a voiceover, and did a little comic with them, and it somehow worked, which also allows me to have my playtime because I feel like
Sure.
even
Yeah.
though like we are fully functioning adults in our 20s, I still like Lego. I still like going out, playing in the garden. I still like want to be connected to uh, like the things that actually used to inspire creativity in me when I was a child. And I think that has been, just being aware of that fact has been such a big factor in terms of me being true to what I create. Like I, as a person, I love stationery, I love colors. If it hasn't been apparent, I go crazy with anything that is like colorful around me, or any like cool idea that I get to like just bounce off with people. But that doesn't mean that everything needs to be created into something that has to be monetized. Those opportunities and that filter comes eventually. It comes with practice. And as
Hmm.
one thing that Gurmehar said that really, really stuck with me is that there is always that thing that, the kind of potential your profile and your content has to make money will not always be the same as the kind of money you are currently making from it.
Right.
Have
Yeah.
to like
Hmm.
filter and chalk out stuff that will represent you truly, because I could promote anything like ABCXYZ that comes my way, and eventually
Hmm.
become like this cash cow of letting brands come and go, take my profile for a ride and reach to whatever is the number of followers that are there. But that is not the case. Like I, for
Hmm.
one, like I am quite choosy about what I choose to speak about, what I put my voice behind, because a lot of people do not still realize this, because there is still not a like big ethical check on the kind of things
Right.
that content creators and influencers
Right.
today talk about. Like to cite an example, Kim Kardashian back in 2018 was promoting these diet suppressing lollipops. Now
Yeah.
for someone with an obesity problem, which is very, very relevant in a country like the United States of America, makes sense. But if you put a product like that in the hands of someone like a Kim Kardashian, who, like, she has my respect for the kind of like empire she's built, but also for the kind of like perception she has, and how a lot of impressionable young girls are following her. A lollipop like that in Kim Kardashian's hand just looks like a tool to lose weight as quick as possible, which is not the healthiest thing. Which is why, even before people get to figuring out what it is they want to create, what it is they want to consume, how do they make money, I still feel like a very sound conscious is like required to have a fertile playground for even coming up with these ideas. And
Hmm.
that realization has dawned upon me a lot later, because I have done my share of mistakes. I have been on the verge of being cancelled. I have been in the fear of being cancelled. And that's a conversation for a separate time. It's a note for Pepper Content to host another session on it, maybe. And a lot of the same people on this session would be able to share their opinions on it. But yeah, I think if I had to just share one takeaway, I know my monologue has sort of been haywire. Just to summarize it, point number A, I think I've been a little lucky with the way things have been happening. I like talking about Instagram growth, and I like helping people out with how they can talk about their businesses and themselves on Instagram. That has been easy because I've had brands reach out to me at the right time, and I've had the fortune to collaborate with them and learn. B, that being said, I have been lucky, but I won't say my journey has been easy either. There's been a lot of like learning, lot of fights, lot of uh, like say sometimes, how to say, reputational damages. I don't know if there's a softer
Yeah.
word for that, but yeah, a lot of these things that you've had to maneuver your way around in order to actually qualify to be on a panel of something known as enablers of creator economy. So I think that's where I will rest my case. But I'm super happy to be here, and I'm excited to listen to what even Divyanshu has to say, because I'm pretty sure he has a bird's eye view on what creators have to go through and the kind of impact, especially Tag Mango has been able to create. I have collaborated with Tag Mango for one, so yeah, that has been super helpful. And yeah, I think I'll tag Divyanshu next to speak. That is in case there's no follow-up question for me.
Yeah, sure. We let Divyanshu talk. Yeah.
Awesome. Firstly, thanks, Pepper Content guys, for hosting this. Thanks for having me. It's incredible to listen to all these like amazing creators out there. I'm a big fan of all three of you, and it's just it humbles me to be on this panel as well. I think let me give you a little bit of background about my own story because that will give an insight around monetization as well and how I actually started the company
Right.
and why I started attacking this problem statement inherently. So first of all, I started off as a content creator myself. So back in 2017-18 is when I started off as a content creator on Facebook. I had one of the first online like talk shows of the country. I got all these folks, Ashish, Sejal, Shirley Setia. I built an audience of about 200,000 followers on Facebook. Did like a lot of speeches there. Then I also simultaneously, not a lot of people know, then I built another Facebook page back then called the Soch Network. And that
Mm-hmm.
garnered about 800,000 followers. We garnered about 100 million views on that. It's very similar to Goalcast in the US. And it was a content curation kind of platform where we shared positive content and distributed that via the Facebook page itself. So I've been in the journey for I think the last 5 years now. And while going through that entire journey, one of the ways that creators could effectively make money was brand itself, right? And
Yeah.
that did not in with respect to the kind of content I was making, I was more on the value add side of content itself. So entrepreneurship, communication, all of that. And back then, edtech startups, fintech startups were not spending money on that kind of content. The only kind of content
Correct.
creators that were
Yeah.
making money were travel content creators, fashion content creators, lifestyle guys. So there was already that identified gap that really there's no direct marriage between brands and the kind of content I'm making. So one,
Mm-hmm.
that was creating a challenge on monetization. But I said that, hey, if I am Ahmedabad is calling me to speak, then I should also be making that much amount of money as well. There is like a direct gap there. I'm not making that much money I'm supposed to make. And so I was experimenting on a lot of things, and most of that was offline. So I remember early on in my journey, I had about 120,000 followers on Facebook. I had done like this online, like this live talk show, which I had created a 2 hour event. And I said that, hey, I've got 20,000 people who follow me from Calcutta. Maybe if I get 500 of them to pay a certain amount of money, that's a potential kind of earning revenue stream that I can look into. And when I actually started selling tickets, I realized that online doesn't directly translate to offline ticket sales, and there is a big gap there. And this was me, naive Divyanshu, 22 years old, still trying to think that this might actually work. Luckily, I was able to fill up that auditorium, and we really pushed hard and all of that, and it made a small amount of money. But again, that was not sustainable, and I realized that this is not something I want to do in terms of monetization. Then I started experimenting with offline workshops. So I used to host all these public speaking communication workshops. That was also a decent kind of revenue stream, but again, something that did not excite me a lot, because if I've gotten into content creation, I have gotten into it from a very entrepreneurial approach that I build a community
Right.
first, and then I would experiment that how do I build multiple millions of dollars and an empire on top of that community. Like that was the key.
Right.
It was a very clear thinking over there. When all those problem statements kind of came together, that actually led to the birth of Tag Mango. So I think it was kind of written that I had to go through the problem statement first before actually building the company.
Mm-hmm.
And then we experimented on a lot of models with Tag Mango over the last 3 years itself. And like we've tested out video shout outs for creators and celebrities, which is Cameo model for India. We've tested out Patreon, which I was particularly more excited about, where creators kind of monetize their exclusive content through podcasts, exclusive video, exclusive text, whatever all of that is. But the learning there is that India overall as a country is still early to pay for content. And as an audience, we're not yet primed to pay for content. So that learning
Right.
education is still kind to come. And then that further took us towards the education space, because that was one of the places where India is very primed to pay. Every parent
Mm-hmm.
wants to send their kid to school, and they'll even cut their own food on the table so that their child can be educated. So education was one aspect. We said that okay, this looks interesting. This can solve for a certain portion of the creator economy, especially edutainment or people who are creating value content on the internet, and we can
Right.
unlock that for them through workshops, cohort based courses, and all of that. And now we have like more clarity towards what we want to build. So what we do right now is we're seeing that we are allowing the creator to build their own online shop. So
Hmm.
everything monetizable direct to consumer within that online shop will be on the platform. So we've started out with education as the first piece. So if you want to host workshops, courses, that's one thing that's unlocked. The second piece, direct to consumer, we are testing out. Again, it's early as a market, is NFTs. So we're saying that, hey, let's explore NFTs. And that's the Web3 space is it's a different topic altogether, but it's a very beautiful unlock for monetization, I feel, for content creators. And down the road, merchandise, pure content, pure community, even live commerce, all of that will be on a singular platform for a creator. So that when a creator is thinking of their life cycle, they don't think that, hey, I want to get 100,000 followers so that I can get to work with an HUL, let's say. But they think that I want to get 5,000 people who follow me, whom I'm providing real value to around a certain niche, let's say. And then how do I get those 5,000 folks? And what can I sell to those 5,000 folks in terms of extra value on top of that? Be it on the education, be it NFTs, be it merchandise, whatever that value effectively is, that will become the life cycle of the creator as we go forward. And that will be where most of the creator businesses will be built upon. So that's like in a very quick way. I think I'm on an investor pitch. This is how I go about creating
Yeah,
investor pitches. But that's the thinking in terms of what we think about the creator economy, especially around monetization, because I spend a lot of my time thinking about this problem statement.
sure, sure.
And I feel this is how the future of monetization for all creators will look like.
Yeah, sure. So I have a follow-up question for Divyanshu and for everybody else. Before we open for questions, I just want to ask this quickly. And because you talked about monetization in a way that in a solution format. So I want to understand that there's this whole payment system in the creator ecosystem is very very fragmented, right? And it's one of the most worrying things in the industry because there's no publicly available industry standards on how much a creator should get paid for, say, a brand deal or a contract. And there's a lot of dependency on agencies and consultants and contractors. And there's also lack of transparency between agencies and creators and brands, right? So this has always, and I report extensively on creator economy, and I write about this frequently, and I talk to a lot of creators, and I hear this as a major issue right now. All of you have been able to somehow crack this, is what I'm guessing. But I also want to understand, right? How do you get to solve this problem? Because as it is, it's an informal industry, right? You cannot have you do not have any standards for it. So how have individually each of you cracked it? And Divyanshu, if you also want to tell us how if at all there's something in pipeline in terms of what you are doing with Tag Mango for creators.
Uh, Divyanshu, are you going?
No, go for it, Rida.
Thank you. So for me, I think as I didn't know the industry, everything just came at a go. Everything was just changing, and I already had a lot of things going on. I had to get an agency into picture, and I still didn't know how that worked. Now, when they were into picture as well, I just had this one person I would communicate with very well. So the first time when I spoke to them, I was very very vocal about it, saying that, look, I have to work. I cannot take a break because I don't have the liberty to do that. As I told you, if I fall back, I don't have anybody holding me up. So if I'm trusting you with this, you need to tell me the kind of brands that you can get me into it. Because even now, the brands that I collaborate with is something that I want to have a creative aspect from my end. I do not want it according to them. It's not me. It doesn't shout me. So while we had that, luckily the agency I had and the person I spoke to were able to convince me with all the questions I laid down as well. Even though they were not very the questions I had or I should have had, but those were the questions I could bring up. And I was like, will I be able to do this? Because at that time, money was something that I had to take and consider if I had to survive here in Bangalore, or my parents would have gotten me back and gotten me married. There's no other option. We need to figure it out. And now what we did here was to be a little more transparent about the things. They were transparent about that this is what we're going to do as an agency. This is the fee. This is that. We'd be deducting the TDS. I had no clue what TDS is. I'm just learning about things and learning about new words. I'm just thinking, is this cut worthy? But there's a similarity between event industry and the content creation industry, and that
Yeah.
is, while you're an MC, the top IT brands, corporate, non-corporates, will not reach out to you or have contacts of MCs directly. No, they don't. So you will have a middle person no matter what, and that is your event
Yeah.
management companies. So
Yeah.
your connection is with the event management company. How are you building your relationship with them? How you put them out? What's your rate card? What you expect out of them is everything laid down to them. Now, even in the event industry, we all know that it takes approximately 30 to 40 days for the money to come. So if I do an event, which I've already done during my Valentine's, I will not ask the money until next 14th, but I will get on their back right after that because I know how the cycle works. And you realized it's the similar thing with the brands here as well. You raise an invoice, which I used to do then as well. You ask them, there's a time that's put out, there's something called that this. But one thing I made sure was to be a little more transparent about it. Like, can you put this on the email? How are you doing things?
Hmm.
When are we getting
Yeah.
on board? This is all I've agreed to. You can't expect more out of me because, as I told you, it's not just content creation, right? One time hosting a show,
Mm.
I get a call, Rida, we have a collaboration tomorrow. No, I'm hosting a show. My dates for these and these are booked. I will not be doing anything at this point of time, and I'll not be picking it up. But this is when I realized that, okay, this is definitely tricky, but it's very important to kind of build a relationship. But at this point, my manager and I have this really amazing relationship where I can trust her, and I know for a fact she's getting the best deals for me, the brands that I would want to collaborate for. Because I've seen my growth from us having literally nothing to be able to say that, you know what, I can happily spend money without feeling guilty. And that's the kind of brand relationship that I meant. And I'm not going to say it's tricky or it's very transparent. Come on, you guys, we live in this world where everybody is greedy. But one thing I realized is, if I did this all by myself, 200K, I don't know how to monetize. Even after this, I thought I would approach the brands. I cannot negotiate. So now I would take a deal. Let's consider I would take a deal for 20K. They'd say 20K. And for me, 20K is big money, you guys. 20K is big money. And I can, trust me, I can survive in 20K for a month and I'll not complain. But what happened when an agency came into picture was them showing my potential, which I didn't think I had. I did let them know that this is what Rida can do, but they converted that. So from 20K, drawing all the way to 1,20,000, I was shook. I remember the midway, my manager reaching out to me and saying, Rida, you are really amazing. We need to scale our rate card. And it was big money for me. And I was shocked. I was like, are we sure we're going to earn that? And I remember crying because that was the first time I was like, shit, I will be doing that. But I also know for a fact that this is an industry which will not be transparent. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to learn from this. I'll grow from this because I cannot take deals or manage things by myself. I need someone at this point of time because I'm taking care of my event industry all by myself. I'm taking care of my modeling gigs all by myself. I'm taking care of my workshops and a small business all by myself. Now, if I get onto content creation, I'll lose my shit. My mental
Sure.
peace
Sure.
is gone. So, as I told you, I'd like to, for a fact, have them into picture because, as Gurmehar said, it's not a pocket money for me. I'm so sorry, it's not pocket money for me. But I know for a fact that yes, we are able to at least create, generate something out of it, and I have alternatives just in case if these don't work out. So yeah, for me, I think agency has kind of quite helped me. I
Yeah.
hoping and praying that I'm not being conned.
Can I make a quick
So
addition to this?
yeah, yeah, please.
So something that Rida mentioned that stuck with me, which is also a challenge I want to put forth to the likes of Pepper Content and Tag Mango here in this summit. Point number A, like when every creator starts monetizing, they price themselves based on how much they think they deserve,
Mm.
which is how like every creator would feel like, no, my content is worth this much, so I should be getting so amount, which is like the entire problem of no, like having no transparency. I, for one, have had this conversation with so many creators. Like I was speaking to like Divija and Satya, and the three of us, like we've been wanting to start something, but we do not have the software backing for it. So if someone is listening to this, billion dollar idea. I would love to connect with you after this. So all of you know of this platform called Glassdoor, right? Like, say if you want to
Yeah.
research about a company, you would see anonymously what employees have rated the salary, the CEO, the relationship, their treatment of employees as. I would want a Glassdoor for the content creator industry, where maybe if the content creators are bold enough, confident enough, they reveal that, say I'm working with brand X. Let's say it's, you know, for the sake of the narrative and keeping anonymity, it's Fines Ketchup. Okay. Now,
Mm.
I would want some closed community of creators where everybody has transparency, that, okay, I'm a creator with 60K followers, I'm a creator with 100K followers. For this brand campaign, I was paid this much, I was paid this much. So the next time I know that with this agency in the middle, like, this was the budget the brand had, and this is how much, these kind of like creators were paid. I would know what is a fair amount to,
To us.
maybe, yeah, to ask,
Divyanshu,
to
yeah,
quote,
sorry.
what to expect. So I would just like want some mechanism, some software to exist where there is a method to punch in feedback for the campaigns that creators
Sure,
do.
Yes.
sure.
Also the experiences, because at this point I'm like, I will never work with this ever.
Yeah, I think that's very important, because almost like, if there is any financial transaction, it never happens with a face-to-face human conversation as well. And let me tell you, 30% of the time, some of those conversations are not pleasant. I want to figure out a way, if there is a way to record and see how do we like weed out that 30% of error and, like, blurriness that still exists in the industry. And I have a way to figure out that, okay, like, these are trustworthy agencies, they pay on time, they get good brands, and there is merit in working with them. I don't know, I definitely think there could be some incentivized system of having a glass door for content creators, because I think it's badly needed. But yeah, again, all of us start with how much we think we deserve, and then we chat with other people, and we realize, wow, we're underpaid. And that's how people revise their rate cards. But currently it happens in a very unorganized manner in India, and that's what happened with me too.
Oh, I
I think
remember
that's a
the first
brilliant
time
idea.
someone asked me, send me your, I think they had an abbreviation to it. I'm like, what is this? Oh, we want your rate card. Oh, why is this offensive? Rate card for what? And then they sent me a clear indication. I have no clue. I felt so stupid then. I was like, Rida, and somebody to create a book or something of a sort, that a person who's just gotten few followers get to know how things work. It's so hard. It's so confusing. And I was like, okay, now this
Sure.
is how
I,
it
I think
works.
we are very short of time. We just have like around 5 to 7 minutes left. So Divyanshu and Gurmehar, I want you guys to also weigh in. So whoever wants to start, and I'm sorry, but we'll have to keep it a little bit shorter.
Sure.
Do you
Mayor, you
want
want
me
to
to
go
go
first?
for
No,
it?
go for it. Go for it.
Happy to go. I think, I mean, when it comes to transparency, I have like very solid rules about, I think, just ethics. There are certain people, certain brands that I will just not work with, like that I just can't. Fairness claims, you know, diet products, often hair removal as well. Anything that's like you
Yeah.
can change your body and you can change how you look. And then certain companies that have, put money in, let's say, coal mines, I wouldn't go on and or those who have invested in maybe media channels that could be that could be harmful for like the discourse, political discourse. I won't engage with them. But again, I feel like I can only do that because I feel like I have the sort of liberty to be able to only work with brands that I want to, because there's a day job. In case I don't get a brand deal, I can still like pay my rent, pay my bills, have a great life. And I think that gives me a lot of freedom to be to choose the sort of work I do on the internet. Um, and also to quote really high. So something that I've done ever since with my manager, that we're just like, we're going to ask for a lot of money, because like if I'm going to go out of my way and like expose myself to like this hate comment of, oh my god, Gurmehar is selling out, it's
Right.
worth it. It better
Yeah.
really be worth it. So ask them for how much ever. If they say yes, we'll do it. If they say no, then at least I'm like a good, ethical person who's not earning to capitalism. So I have like a very funny sort of way to look at it.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's my little way to go about it.
Very interesting. Divyanshu, do you want to go next?
Just very quickly, I'm not the biggest fan of brands. That's why we're building the company. But anyway, there are two pieces here. I don't recommend creators to not work with brands. You should definitely work with brands because that is definitely a monetization stream we should look at. I think there are two things creators should keep in mind. One, like what Gurmehar mentioned, right? There needs to be a marriage between your own persona and what you stand for, and whether that brand actually stands for that or not. And if that marriage is not happening well, then it doesn't make sense to do it. And I keep getting, I don't talk about any brands because I just talk about my own company.
Right.
But unless and until that marriage is missing, then it you shouldn't do it as a creator. It just hurts
Right.
you more in the longer run, versus you having a short term gain of some
Mm-hmm.
capital in the bank. And second piece, I think I push creators to think this way a lot, which is thinking more like entrepreneurs. And that is where you will be able to unlock more value for you over time as well. So you should think
Right.
that, let's say, if it's a net tech brand that's coming out to you, and
Mm.
they are looking at the number of app installs, which is their KPI that they're looking at, which their marketing team is
Mm.
looking at, right? So
Right.
how many number of app installs you're able to drive immediately, and of course there's a more it's a funnel down effect as well through awareness. But those numbers you should track, that data you should have, because even when an agent talk to your team at the agency that you're working with, tell them that all this data we can use in order to increase the amount of money that we can charge these brands as well. Because especially all the three creators in the that we have today on the panel, they have deep community. It's not just a vanity metric of followers that, hey, I've got 10,000 followers or so. There's a depth of community that's very strong. So and the audience trusts all the three creators even on the panel today. So that metric, and thinking more like entrepreneurs in terms of what's the value that my customer, which is the brand, is getting, let's quantify that value and let's use that value in our future negotiation conversations as well, because then we'll be able to charge more for the brands. Those are the two pieces. And Ankita, while you were saying about Glassdoor for creators, I just, there's, since we are part of Y Combinator and they've invested in us, we have something called Bookface, which is like a in for all companies in Y Combinator, the startup accelerator, where I can connect with other founders within the community as well. And then there is an investor kind of review system too, that every investor in the world, be it a Sequoia to an Andreessen to a
Bang on.
Lightspeed, all of them are reviewed. There's a best, good, poor reviews from founders. If an investor sent out an email saying that, hey, I'm going to put in money in the company, and then they said that they didn't wire the money, then all of that is actually put in. So that's interesting. I put it on my core group. We'll definitely chat about it. I'll put some
Yeah, no,
context for
even if
sure.
you take this conversation up internally with your team, I would be more than happy to chime in like my thoughts and just be a part of that call. Even like happy to be a
Sounds
fly
good.
on the wall because it's something I personally struggle with, and I would love to have that line of communication open with other creators because I
Makes
know
sense.
for a fact they struggle with the same.
Makes sense. One of the reasons why we opened the creator pad as well in Bombay is so that we could unlock conversation amongst creators through an offline setup. Because most creators are creating content in silos, and it's very hard for them to find other creators as well. Well, keeping in par, let's say the top 5% or 2% were able to connect with each other. So that conversation, the more it gets unlocked, and we will further structure and organize it, let's say through a tech platform as well. It's definitely an interesting piece to solve for. I'll ring you up.
Yeah, I think it's interesting for everybody. A platform like that, from creators to everybody who wants to work with creators. And I've always heard of this unspoken kind of competition within ranks, right? I mean, it also helps if it's anonymous, for people to go and talk about it there rather than if you have to put yourself out there. So I think it makes for a very interesting proposition. So Ankita, I think great idea. I think we don't have any time left. I am just checking if we can take audience questions, or but I think we have to wrap up because it's already 4:30.
Yeah. Also, I'm really sorry. I do have a hard stop at 4:30, but this is just me like
Sure.
putting out a PSA that anyone in the chat who has had any query that I might have missed, I do check my DMs quite often and I try to respond to them like on the go. I send voice notes. So if you have any question that I can help you, like, jam a few ideas on, please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram and I'll most probably get back to you on DM. But currently, I will have to drop off. It's been a pleasure being here in this session.
Thank you so much, Ankita.
Bye bye. Bye Gurmehar. Bye Rida. Bye Divyanshu. And thank you so much,
Bye.
Shadma.
You guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Shadma, even I have to bounce.
Yeah. Let's just drop off. I mean, I think that.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. It was fun.